what it had done. I grew up carrying wounds from childhood trauma, family instability, loss, and experiences that impacted how I viewed myself and the world around me. So, like I said, for years, I operated from this survival mindset. I was successful on paper, had all the accolades, right? All the things. But internally, there were still areas of healing that needed attention. So as I began doing my own personal work, I realized something powerful. Many of the struggles people face aren't because they're broken. I want people to hear that. It's not because you're broken. They're often operating from an unhealed experiences, false beliefs about themselves, or patterns they learned long ago. So that's the realization that changed everything for me. And it can change everything for someone else who is really interested in trying to create their life. So I became passionate about understanding human behavior, trauma, relationships, leadership, and personal growth. What started as my own healing journey evolved into a calling to help others discover theirs. So today, my mission is simple: help people reconnect with their identity, understand their story, and move forward with purpose.
Love that. Love that. When I was listening to you, Queen, about, really dealing with the trauma and understanding that you're not broken. That was so important, because a lot of people, and I have to say myself too, and I'm going to use myself as an example for you as we talk through this, because believe me, I had some trauma and I had things like we all did, right? So I can be your guinea pig. But I love how you said that, because a lot of times the first thing we think about is we feel like we are. It's because maybe there's somebody not there at that time to tell you that you're not. So you just have this in your mind that, all this happened to me, I'm broken, I'm not worthy of it, or whatever the case may be. All those, words in your head that's ringing and ringing and ringing, and it's getting to your heart. And now you're living this trauma and you don't even realize that you just need to let that go and work on that part of it. It's not you, right?
No, I love that you're saying that, Barbara, because that was actually the revelation that woke me up, and it just shook me. Because as parents, and this is something I talk to people when I'm teaching a parenting class or whatnot. As parents, we never turn to our children and say, you can create your own life. Like, what I'm giving you is my story. This is my life. You can create something different for yourself. We just tend to follow those patterns, because you talk about generational cycles. It's just something that we do as children. We interpret what we're going through at that time, and it builds our identity, whether it's good or bad experiences. And it may be something insignificant, it may be traumatic, but it still tells us something about ourselves, because we build that initial perspective of what that experience meant to me. And that's how our belief system starts to develop. And here's the crazy thing, because anywhere from birth to 5, maybe 6 years old, everything, all the experiences, everything that your parents are saying and the things around you start that belief system. You're 5 years old. So if your parents aren't aware, then you're creating that for your children. And so I think that's the biggest thing, because as having adult children, now I'm a grandmother, so now I've got grandchildren. I'm going to those grandbabies and I'm going, baby boy, baby girl, you can do whatever you want to do. Life is yours. You don't have to be your mom. You don't have to be your dad. And I think that's something that is important to hear, because like I said, so many of us just fall into those patterns, whether we want to or not. It's just what we learned about life.
Yes. Well, first of all, you said grandmother. I'm like, what?
Yes.
If grandmothers look like this, you need to tell them. This needs to be sold.
Thank you.
You look
Thank
beautiful,
you.
Queen.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
On my chair, I'm like, wait a minute, did she say grandmother?
I sure did.
But you know what? I love how you're taking that and didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say this real quick before you get
Hmm.
into it. Is I love how you said that, you're telling your grandbabies, you're telling your, yes, you can do that, you can create, you can be, because that they need to hear that at an early
Hmm.
age, like you said, because
Hmm.
it does start around 5. I mean, we really start that is that young, and we
Hmm.
pick up things, all the time. Children always pick up those things, like, as you deal with children, you talk to children. So I'm glad that you're putting that out there, and I want people to kind of resonate with that and listen to what you're saying to children, so they can. Everybody needs to be on the same page. That's what I'm trying to say when you're saying that to the children. Yes.
Yeah, because identity is like the foundation of everything. The way we lead, communicate, set boundaries, make decisions, and pursue opportunities, it's often connected to what we believe about ourselves. So it's important that we're talking to children, and even now, maybe you have adult children like myself, going back and making those corrections, because here's the beautiful thing about the brain: you can reprogram it and you can set it in a tone. Now it's going to take practice and repetition, because repetition makes permanent. um, in order for those new beliefs to start taking root and reprogramming what was previously there. Many people are trying to change behaviors without addressing the beliefs underneath them. And I think that is kind of how we've done it along the way, is just, oh, there's the behavior, we need to change the behavior. So here's something that I often tell parents when I'm doing parenting classes is, there is no such thing as a bad kid.
Mm.
There's no such thing as a bad kid. Now, bad choices, yes. Bad behaviors, yes. But does that make that kid a bad kid? No. But they may believe they're bad. So then they produce those things. Because
Mm.
if you're constantly saying, why can't you listen? Why are you always doing these things? Why are you misbehaving? I mean, that's feeding into that self belief. And that's what I'm talking about, because that's the root system there.
So
And I
true.
just I just finished doing a podcast about the root system, because fruit can't grow until the root system is stable. And
Mm.
so whatever you're feeding into that root, whatever the foundation is, that's the fruit that's going to produce.
Ooh,
Yes, ma'am.
I could just sit back and listen to you for a long period. I love this. Yes.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I always say words, just to add real quickly, Queen. Words, I
Mhm.
always tell people, words are powerful. Words are
Mhm.
very powerful. Sometimes you don't understand, by saying a word could hurt. A word can hurt more than somebody just hitting me. I told somebody that sometime. I said, you could hit me, the bruise will kind of go away and whatever, and heal. But words stay. They stay there. So from the age of 5, if you're saying you're not smart, you're ugly or whatever that, and they keep pounding that in you, and you keep hearing that, you become 50 years old and you're still, things trigger, like you said, and you're like, okay, if somebody look at you some way, say, well, maybe you didn't do that right. Well, they said a long time when I was 5 years old, I wasn't smart. See, it's just, you have to condition yourself to get that out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if someone believes they aren't worthy, they're possibly going to self sabotage opportunities. If someone believes they have to earn love, they'll overperform and burn out. If someone believes their past mistakes define them, they'll struggle to embrace future possibilities. Real growth happens when we begin replacing false narratives with truth. And so this is where my faith comes in. And I love this, because the truth will set you free. And it's so true, in the sense that everyone was created on purpose for purpose. It does. And that life happens because we live in a world of brokenness. There is the fall, and not to get too biblical, but the fall from God's grace. And
Yeah.
we had Jesus come and save us all from that. So he has restored that connection, so we have it. So you don't have to work for forgiveness. It's already been given to you. You have to just accept it for yourself, and you have to just operate in that, like, you've been forgiven. You were forgiven before you even did the thing.
Yeah. You were forgiven before you were born.
Yes. So that's what I love about it, because for me, faith played a significant role in my healing journey. And in that process,
Mm.
I had to learn that my identity wasn't rooted in my trauma, failures, titles, or accomplishments. My identity was rooted in who God says I am. Once people begin healing their identity, leadership becomes healthier, relationships improve, and confidence grows naturally.
Ooh, see, Queen, you just dropping, just drop nuggets. See, I got to go back. I have to go back. Well, first of all, I
Sure.
know you said the title, is just not our title. It's just, we got our titles, but I have to say your titles because they're important. So just to
Sure.
remind people, you're CEO of Master and the Mind Mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
You're the founder, again, as before, founder of Empowering Her Steps. And she is a host of Good Morning Minutes with Angelina. I'm sorry, Angelina,
Yeah,
right?
you said it right. Yes.
Right. I always want to make sure that's one thing I always work on is people's names because I feel like that's important. I want to respect. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I asked her at the beginning, everybody. So I want to say those titles because first, like she says, she is who she is in God. I'm a believer too. So I get you. I'm tracking you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that point, God brings us those other wonderful titles that He wants us to have. And that's why I mentioned those three. And she's a child of God. So that should have been the first one. So,
Yes.
but with that, with the other ones, people always think, well, you got the CEO. I said, but you know what? Embrace that because that's part of what your gifts and talents come out of. And there's a title for it. And that's okay
Mm-hmm.
with that. Yeah. So I just wanted people to make sure that they know all your titles and all your gifts that you have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. No, and I mean, it's true, Barbara. These accomplishments I struggled with for a long time because I never thought that I could do it. And I mean, like I said, it's not until this past 5, 6 years where I really started stepping into who God created me to be. But it
Mhm.
took me to heal all the things that I had been through in life in order to even see this opportunity, this great plan that the Lord had for me.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad that you always mention about, the trauma and dealing with that and working through it because I was just thinking about one of mine traumas when I was younger, at the age of 17. My father passed, and he was like
Mhm.
just my old heart, my heart. He was the one that always would tell me that I was smart and I was beautiful when everybody else was telling me I was not, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
He passed, but he passed not from like, a car accident or, like a disease, but he passed because somebody else took his life.
Mhm.
And I always said to myself, boy, at a young age, at that age, at a teenage age, oh, why? I just did, oh, I was like, no. And that's when I really turned to God. I was really getting closer to Him at that time and even more closer as I
Yeah.
was getting older. And I was just telling myself, I said, well, no one's not going to tell me. It was because, you're young and you're trying to reach for anything. I said, who is going to tell me that I'm, smart and I'm pretty and all this because my dad's gone, right? And
Mhm.
everybody else is saying the opposite. And then when I found my anchor, which I tell people, my anchor is God. Everybody has their own anchor in their life that they go
Mhm.
through. You go back to what you said, and you start realizing that it doesn't matter what anybody says. It was matter what He says about you. So when that happens, and when you really, like you said, try to work out with that trauma and everything that when you went through on the other side, you find out it doesn't have to be your lifestyle. It's not your life. It's just something that you went through that, like you just said earlier, Queen, that you have to work that out and understand that your identity and who you are. So what you're
Yes.
doing, what you're saying and doing for people is so important. So important.
Well, thank you. I mean, and just expanding on that, Barbara, one of the most common things I see people carrying are those invisible stories, stories like I'm not enough, I have to do
Mhm.
everything myself, I'll always fail, I have to prove my value. And those are the stories that affect your career, your
Mhm.
marriage, your parenting, your friendships, and your leadership.
Mhm.
So I know when I coach people, my role as a coach isn't to tell people who they are.
Mm.
My role is to help them uncover who they've always been underneath the fear, the pain, and the limiting beliefs. When people gain the awareness, they gain choice.
Mm.
And when they gain choice, they gain freedom. And so I think that's the value of having a coach. It's not someone to tell you who
Mhm.
you are. So your dad was there to give you those ups, but when you started to uncover for yourself, what was truly beneath the surface, what was there all along. You just had to find it and tap into it for yourself. Then you started to see all of the freedom that you have. And this is so beautiful because what do they say? The truth will set you free, right?
Yeah.
So freedom comes with knowing who you are in confidence, because that is what's holding us back, is the fear, the doubt, the worry. Okay. And if you want to talk biblically, God is not fear, he's not doubt, and he's not worried at all. And so all of that right there, false narratives, and those are the barriers that can keep you stuck in your story, stuck in that trauma, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so to overcome it, you have to look at these things
Mhm.
as kind of guiding posts. Let's take fear for an example. You
Mhm.
know, you're walking into an uncomfortable situation. It's only uncomfortable because you've not ever stepped into it, or no one that you know has ever stepped into it. So you have
Mhm.
no preference to understand what it's all about. And so
Mhm.
that fear is just a guiding post saying, hey, you're about to step into something new. So let's be aware, let's
Mhm.
watch our step, let's make sure that we're learning the things that we need to learn and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's all fear does, because it's a human characteristic, it's a human quality that helps keep us safe.
Yeah.
And so if we learn how to tame the beast, so to speak, we learn how to unlock opportunities for ourselves.
Yes. Ooh,
Mhm.
yeah, tame that beast. Because I loved how you taught that part of it, because when I see, and this helps me out, what you just said, when you see the fear, when you see the worry and everything, and God is the opposite of that. And if it comes in your life, you that kind of trigger you to say, okay, this is not right, because why am I fearing like this? Why am I so worried? Why am I? So it kind of almost helps you get back into sync and get focused, and say to yourself,
Mhm.
okay, well, wait a minute. This is not what it's supposed to be. I need to be in faith, and I need to be understanding who my identity is. And I need to understand that I am loved. I am appreciated. So when that start coming, that's where God comes back and say, yeah, there you go. Now you're thinking the right, there you're right spot. So I love how you said that, to make the difference between the two. And then throwing in what you said is very important, Queen, is you have a choice. You
Mhm.
can make a choice. I always tell people, you have a choice. And a lot of times we like you said, we kind of mess ourselves up because we don't make those choices, and we feel like we can, or like no, or whatever. But I'm like, no, you made it. You can make that choice to turn the other way. Yeah.
Mhm. And if you really want to go a little further, you make a choice every day. You make a choice whether you're going to change. You make a choice not to change, because that within itself is a choice too.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
used to work with mothers and fathers that were in the child welfare system, and their
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
And we try to guide them. When I was working as a case manager, we would try to guide them into making better choices that would reconnect them to their family, right? Some would and some wouldn't. And that's the thing, because at some point in your life, and this is the I'm preaching to the choir here, because I definitely um had to learn this myself. But I had to learn that I was responsible for where I was at in my life.
Yeah.
And if I didn't like what it looked like, that was my fault, because
Yeah.
as a child, yes, I have to submit to my parents' decisions for me. Like, I have no control over that. But
Mhm.
as an adult, I have control over that.
Yeah.
I can make that change. Now, so that's why self-awareness and healing is vital, so that you can make better choices and decisions. You don't have to live the life that was given to you, or through your trauma, or whatever experiences. And so
Mhm.
I think that too is like, whether we're talking about families, schools, nonprofits, businesses, or organizations, people are at the center of every system.
Yes.
So the problem is, many systems are designed around compliance rather than connection. So being trauma informed doesn't mean lowering the expectations. It
Mhm.
means understanding behavior through a different lens.
Yes.
So instead of asking what's wrong with this person,
Mhm.
we began asking what happened to this person and
Mhm.
what does this person need to be successful. And that's the same with you. Like if you don't have anybody else, it's like, what happened to me and does what is it that I need to be successful, right? When organizations understand how stress, trauma, relationships, and emotional regulation affect performance,
Mhm.
everything changes. And what you see in those changes are like communication improves, trust improves, retention improves, outcomes
Mhm.
improve, compassion and accountability can coexist. In fact, they're most effective when they do.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm getting chills.
I was ready for today. I was ready. I was coming
Oh, no,
ready.
you ready. I can see you ready all the time. It's not just now. Let's put that out there. But see, that comes back from, and I always tell people, when you have a passion and you know what you're supposed to be doing is your purpose, as you always say, I don't care if you're talking to anybody, it's going to come out just like what you're doing right now, Angela.
Mm-hmm.
It is because that's your passion. And when I say, because I have a foundation, I'm not foundation, yeah, foundation that I use for people when I talk to them. I said it's called PPD. So I say it's purpose, passion, and drive in your life. I said when you
Mm-hmm.
get those three really locked in, really locked in your life, that's when you just soar. Because I don't care the earthquake, the storms, if somebody says whatever to you. I mean, somebody could say a whole bunch of things to you right now that's crazy, Queen. And you'll be like, okay, but I'm still going to keep it moving because you know who you are. You know your purpose and you know
Yes.
what you're supposed to be doing here, right? So
Mm.
no matter what somebody says, and when you get to that point, I'm telling you, there's no stopping you. So I understand, yeah, you were ready all the time.
No, but you bring up such a good point too, Barbara, because when you get to that place of awareness and you just know you oh my gosh you live in a place of peace. So I talk about fruits of the spirit, but really you live in a place of peace where you can let something go and you could say, you know what, I'm not picking that up and I'm not carrying that in my backpack because it's not going to serve me. So I'm gonna just leave it right there. And oh my gosh, the amount of stress that just falls off of your shoulders. I mean, you can just step in and people see it. They recognize it. You come into a room and you light it up. Like it's just something about it. You know, surrender is something that I do coach to as well. Like it, and it's just something that I've learned here recently too, is surrendering and understanding what's my assignment and
Mhm.
what do I need to operate in, because not everything else needs to be part of that, and I can
Mhm.
just leave it where it lies and continue to move on. And I think that's why faith is at the center of everything I do. One lesson I've learned is that healing isn't something we accomplish through willpower alone. Healing
Mhm.
often requires surrender.
Yes.
There have been many seasons in my life where I wanted answers, I wanted the control and certainty, like, many of us do. God often invited me into trust instead. Ooh, and that, I go right now. This is for the past 2 years. This has been the Bible verse that I've been leaning on, but it is lean not on your own understanding, but trust in God, and He will make your path straight. Like, oh, that has been the challenge for me these past
Yeah.
2 years for sure. But I've learned that leadership isn't about having all the answers either. It's about stewardship, it's about serving people well, and it's about leading with humility. It's
Yes.
about remembering that influences the influence that you carry is a responsibility, not a privilege. So my
Yes.
faith reminds me that every person has value, purpose, and
Mhm.
potential, even when they can't see it themselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So true, Queen. So true. And you know, I love what you said because when you do have that faith, as you say, and the evidence of things not seen. I always say, people looking and looking. I'm like, you just sit back and you let God just do what He's going to do. I get to that point, Queen, because I don't want to. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight,
Mm,
God. You're not
mm-mm,
going to win. You're not going to win. So when I got to that point, and because God always tell me, okay, Barbara, you can get tired. You can get
mhm,
tired of trying to do what you want to do. Let me. And then when you release it, like you just said, Queen, you just feel that inner peace.
yeah.
And people get mad at me sometimes. You're gonna probably laugh at this. People will get mad at me and I say, they be like, "Oh, I'm just having a bad day. I'm so unpeaceful and I'm just not feeling it." And I'm like, "Well, that's your fault." And they look straight at me quick.
Yes,
What?
yes.
They said, "Did you just say it was my fault?" I'm like, "Yeah, because you allowed it."
Yes. Oh, that is so big. That is so big. I love that you're saying that, Barbara, because it is so true. Because the one thing that we can control is ourselves, and that is what we do, what we say, what we think, how we act.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And they don't
Yeah.
want to hear that because they want to start saying, well, the job, my business, this person, the
Hmm.
dog, the birds, the sky. I mean, anything they can name to say what made them have no peace anymore. And I was like, well, all that in control because you let it happen. You let them come into you. That you just let it happen.
Hmm.
But if you don't open yourself up to that and say, you know what, maybe that's all that going around. That's why I would tell people when the hurricane's going around you and all over the place in your life, God, you center yourself.
Hmm.
Center yourself. And a lot of times, especially when you have no control over it, it's like, because a lot of times I wait a minute, I really don't have no control over that little thing right over there. So why am I sitting here worried about it? Why am I sitting here getting upset about it, flustered, and everything like that? Because then it stops me from really getting back to my inner peace with God so He can give me the direction of why things are going around and what He wants me to maneuver as it's going on. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you want to talk about some serious generational. We have been programmed just as humans to avoid the responsibility, right? And so the excuse, oh, my peace, it's because of my job, or oh, this, that, because I mean, what did Adam do when Eve ate the fruit? I mean, it was the woman you gave me, God. It was her. So, like, hello, it's a generational cycle, okay? Like that. Let's break that. Let's release us from that for reals. Um, and I think that's why healing is so important because many of us want to say, oh, healing means you're weak, but no, healing is not weakness. For a long time I thought strength meant pushing through. If I
Yeah.
could just push through, if I could just do the next thing, if I could just check it off.
Yes.
Now I understand that true strength is being willing to face what
Mhm.
hurts, learn from it, and grow from it. See, that's the thing that God wanted us to do was learn. We talk about repentance when you repent and all that stuff.
Mhm.
God wants you to repent, but He doesn't want you to go back to it. Like if learn from it, grow from it, and it no longer holds you captive. It frees
Mhm.
you. So healing doesn't erase the past. It changes your relationship with it. So I'm not sitting there telling people just ignore the past, pretend like it didn't happen. No, it absolutely did happen. If you want to know my story, I can tell you. But your past happens. It's just learning how
Mhm.
you relationship with it, allowing yourself to be emotionally disconnected from all of the hurt and the pain that comes through that, and understanding like, okay, this
Mhm.
did happen to me, but what was it in that moment that I needed to learn about myself? And maybe it was strength, maybe it was resilience, so many things, because it's easy to look at things and say, well, I was 7 years old when that man touched me.
Mhm.
What does that have to do with me? And nothing, and like nothing. That man, and I'm giving a little bit of my story here, but that man was that was his choice and his responsibility. But what
Mhm.
it taught me about myself is it taught me that I had a voice, because I was able to outcry from that situation and not only save myself, but save my sister as well. So today I can talk about difficult experiences, as you know, not because they not because they no longer matter, but because they no longer control me.
Oh, there you go. Bingo.
That's the difference right there.
You get me so excited, and I want to cry, I want to scream, do everything at the same time. It was all because of the love. Um, Oof, you just said something. You just I don't even know how to unravel everything because you said so many good things in certain areas. But
Mhm.
the thing that I love what you said, I'm going to end it with this part because I want to make sure you get a little bit more time to say your
Sure.
anything lasting thoughts. But what I love when you say that you let it go so it don't control you anymore.
Mhm.
And see, that is so important. That's when you break out into that next level in your life is when things that was controlling you, the past, because past can control you. I tell people if you hold on to it in the wrong way, like you said, the wrong way. I always tell there's nothing wrong with talking about the past, like I just brought up about my dad. But it's
Mhm.
not controlling me. I'm not that 17-year-old that's letting it control me that my dad left. I'm like, oh my God, I can't move forward. No, it showed me that yes, you can move forward. And then there's other people that might be going through the same thing you're going through. And that's why you tell your story so you can help people to give them hope. See, I always tell people your story is to give other people hope. Your story is
Mhm.
so they see that you
Yeah.
made it through that mountain, that you climbed over the mountain, that you gained patience from it, that you, like you said, what are you learning from it? Every time I go through something, Queen, I always ask God, okay, I'm not going to ask him the why am I going through it. I ask, what do you want me to learn from it?
Mm.
What am I learning from this? No matter how bad, how much it hurts, because we got the most because we're human. We're in this body, so you're gonna have the cries, you're gonna have the screams, you're gonna have the hurt. But through
Mm.
all of that, the one question you always ask is, okay, what am I learning from this? And just like you said, back when you were younger, how that what you did even protected your sister. That's why I wanted to
Mhm.
cry. I was like, ooh.
Mhm.
Hmm. So it's that's powerful, and that's the like you said, that's breaking away. You're not combined in that anymore. So thank you, Queen, for saying.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm, mm.
It's easier said than done, absolutely,
Yeah,
because it takes a whole mind shift, a whole renewing of the mind, if you will,
mm,
to really grasp that and the
yes.
will to do it, the will to do the
Mm.
hard stuff as well,
And
you
want
know.
to do it, like you said earlier, and you want to do because you
Mhm.
got to make that decision still. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
every day is. I mean, we all haven't arrived. I mean, I know I still. I'm the last person to then say, "Oh, I got it all." No, I mean, I still have to work on things that happen, and but I always like you say, you know where to go. You know how to make that
Yes.
decision. You know where to pull from, and when you know that, it's like, oh, here, okay, let me pull over there. You go,
Mhm.
okay, let me pull back. It's just like you know where to pull. And that's like you said, Queen, that's going to get you to getting better and better in dealing with it and working with it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Less reactivity and more responsive to
Mm,
situations. Oh, can just to pause, just to do a little pause and go, yeah, that's not where I want to head today. So you good luck with that. Good luck with that. I'm gonna head this other way, and just be responsive. And you can be so polite and compassionate. And I think that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people break those generational cycles, whether it's in individual, families, leaders, or organizations. I believe transformation happens when awareness meets action. So that's the whole initiative through my Empower Her Steps, my coaching work, speaking engagements, and Good Morning Minute with Angelina. My goal is to help people move from surviving to thriving. I want people to know that healing is possible, growth is possible, purpose is possible, no matter where your story began. It doesn't have to end there.
listen to the Queen. I don't have nothing else to say because she said it all. On that note, I'm just going to go to, and I want you, I know there's one maybe golden nugget you want to leave. So I'm going to take myself down and get myself out of here for a second. And I
Sure.
want to let you just let at least that love, that last golden nugget, and we'll be right back. So we can understand how you can contact this Queen. So, but we'll be right back. Well,
Okay.
I'll be right
Okay. Well, as we close today, I want to leave you, friends, with this reminder. Your story is not something to hide. It may be the very thing that helps someone else find hope. Whatever season you're in, don't let your past convince you that your future has already been decided. Healing is possible, growth is possible, purpose is possible. Keep taking the next right step. Keep trusting the process, keep trusting God. Even when you can't see what He's doing beneath the surface, your life has value, your journey has meaning, and your best chapters may still be ahead of you. So, like, I like to close my podcast with this little saying. So, I send you much love, much peace, many blessings.
I wanted more. I was like, I receive it. I receive it, Queen. This has been such a joy.
Thank
I
you.
loved this interview, and I appreciate you so much, Queen. You keep
Yes.
doing what you're doing. You confident, you strong, wonderful woman of God, and it's just you could just feel it through here, even through video. So
Hmm.
you keep doing what you're doing, Queen, and I'm
Thank you.
100% with you. Anything you need me to support you with, and this is what I love to do, visibility wise too, and just being there, just to be just support, and that's what we need to do now. So thank you for
Yes.
supporting so many people that are dealing, that's trying to get through those
Hmm.
traumas, trying to get through who they are, identity, trying to get through what purpose they have in life. Thank you for really guiding them. You're like that light, they're kind of like in that darkness, and you're kind of that light just walking, and they're kind of like, oh, there's the
Thank
light,
you.
oh, there's hope. So
Thank
that's
you.
what you're doing, and I appreciate you. And you're always welcome to come back on the Coaches on anything that you might be doing in your business. You want to share and just be there. I'm here for you if you need me.
Okay, great. I love it. Thank you.
So with that, everybody, thank you again for another wonderful episode of the Coaches Now with yours truly, host Barbara J. Beckley. I bring the queens and kings because some of the men got on me, but I don't cherish the kings, so I give them their kingdomship too. But basically, this is a place where we spotlight experts, advice for life and for business, and always understand. Just like this queen was saying, you are important. You have. I always say you have a gift in you, and you have to let it shine out. You have to let it be visible. But if you need the help from a coach, from a mentor, from a pastor, anybody that can help you, reach out because you need to shine. And if you need help to do that, let them push you forward because guess
Mhm.
what? The world needs you. With that said, we'll see you at the next Coaches Lounge show. You take care.